The vault door, how do you say, opens onto our smiling faces. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, Wastelanders. Welcome back. Welcome back to
What's
War Games
up?
News Radio. We've got a very special stream here today. It is the Fistful of Neutrons Season 1 recap party. We did it.
Yeah, welcome to the
We
rap
did
party.
Made it.
We made
We
it.
made
it. Yeah. Very fun. Very cool. Thank you all for coming in and joining us. We made a whole season of a silly little show. Can you farkin' believe it? That's pretty cool. Hey,
I still cannot believe it.
I'm happy to see all you folks here today. My name is Ryan. I am was your overseer here for Fistful of Neutrons, host as well of War Games News Radio, and this are our lovely characters. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks. How we doing?
Super.
Doing well. Living the dream.
Good.
Living the dream, dreaming to live. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Looks like we've got a stacked deck, a big old crowd here on the go. Who do we got? Who do we got tonight? We got some old friends. We've got Han Dat. We've got Ryan Gale. We've got Corbin Bear. All kinds of folks in the chat here, and some new friends as well. Robert Sarasai. I think maybe I've seen you here before as well. Leonidas Hutchinson. Devin Shipwreck back again. Good to see you. Halo Nerd 4, the fourth in a line of succession of Halo Nerds, has shown up today. Arthur Dias, Karkura, I'm saying them all wrong. Vault Viking, good to see you back in the chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Season 1 wrap-up party. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to have a chat. We're all going to sit down. We're going to hang out. So sit down, grab yourself a Nuka-Cola and some sugar bombs, and buckle up for 60-ish minutes of behind-the-scenes Fistful of Neutrons. Nice.
We're going to pull back the curtain.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna
all...
let you all in on our master plan that we definitely put a lot of thought into.
Yeah. The trick was we had no plan. But we've got some other stuff going on here today, too. We're doing a giveaway. It's been a while since we've done one.
Nice.
So we're back. We figured let's celebrate the end of the season in a big way. So we're going to be giving away a Fallout 2D20 starter set. Now, this has been a much anticipated product from the Modifius gang. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's got, I believe it's an abridged version of the rule book, if not the full rule book for a crazy price. Enough rules to get you going at the very least. Tokens, dice, a starter adventure too. A neat little one-shot campaign, which is super cool. We're going to check that out ourselves in the next little while here. And all you have to do to get your hands on this beauty is comment in the stream, in the chat, exclamation point prize pack. If you've entered any of our giveaways before, you know how it works. Comment exclamation point prize pack, one entry per viewer, and we'll make the draw at our halftime break and come back with a winner. Super excited to give this away. We've decided that we really wanted to celebrate the end of this stream and hopefully get some other folks playing this game. If you haven't entered if you haven't played it already, this is a great way to get into it. And of course, it's free. So, I mean, might as well enter in. All we ask is that if you do enter, that you hang around until at least we make the announcement, or have a way that we can get a hold of you so you can watch back on the replay and send us an email if you win. We've had a couple times where people have entered, not claimed their prizes, but we've passed those forward down the line. But so don't do what Johnny Don't does. And if you enter, stick around so you can win your pack. See some folks throwing their names into the ring right now. Thank you so much for doing that. If you want double entry into that, you can follow the link in our Patreon below, where top tier members get double entry into all of our future giveaways. With the giveaway stuff done, let's go quick programming notes, and we'll get right back into the action. Our Follow for Hope fundraiser still going. You can see the tracker at the bottom of the screen there. We are trying our darndest to raise, and we've got another $100 in the pot, everybody. I bet you it's that dang mysterious donor.
Yeah, mysterious donor strikes again. Whoever that is has been throwing money at our donation.
It's amazing. If you're not familiar, if you're not familiar with this fundraiser, thank you all who have donated. But if it's your first time checking in, it's humanitarian aid relief for the Ukraine crisis. It's going to an amazing cause. A bunch of hospitals have already been, field hospitals have been repaired and rebuilt thanks to donations from fine folks like yourself. All of it's matched through Project Hope, Follow Up for Hope. You can find links to that down below as well. Registered charity, all that fun stuff. So go check that out. Check out the Project from Hope team. There's lots of streamers doing all kinds of stuff, raising some money for these causes. On top of that, some other big news. We're headed to Gen Con in August. Myself and Justin are going to be making the trip down to Indianapolis for the convention, August 4th through to the 7th, to help with some seriously epic Wasteland Warfare narrative campaign games being put on by Cincinnati Arsenal Gaming. And friend of the channel, Crafty Rick. If you're attending the con, thinking about it, come by, join us for some awesome games on the 24 by 4 foot Wasteland Warfare gaming table. It's fucking huge. It's unreal. Huge. And with some amazing builds by Crafty Rick. If you haven't checked out Crafty Rick, search him on YouTube, give him a follow. It makes the fucking coolest Fallout builds I've ever seen. More details on that as we get closer to the con. So hit us up, Discord or Instagram. Find those links in the description for more details, and we can become internet friends because it's always super fun. Quick thank you again to the Modifius crew and Fantasy Grounds for hooking us up with the VTT, the virtual tabletop that we used in the sort of last third of the campaign. Made the game so much easier, so much more streamlined. If you want to get your copies of those, I believe we've got links in the description down below as well. They're affiliate links, so you buy it from there. You do us a little favor. It greases the wheels, keeps the videos coming, all that fun stuff.
Doesn't cost you anymore either.
No. It absolutely doesn't. It's all you get to keep the stuff, and we get a little bit of kickback. So we just take the vig off the top. No big deal. With all that out of the way, let's do one last time for season 1 Around the Horn. Get reacquainted with our players, and then we'll get into how this whole question and answer thing is going to work. So let's start going to my video stage left with Raj. Raj, tell us about yourself. How you doing, bud? Oh, he's muted.
Audio.
Oh, he's muted, baby. He's muted.
Oh, dang.
There we go.
I'll do that over again.
22 episodes, everybody.
Yeah.
We finally got it.
Mute. I'm really excited to be here to do question and answer period, if we can call it that.
Sure. Yeah.
I played the character of Johnny Bottlecap for this season, and we had a lot of fun kind of figuring out what he was going to be getting up to. I kind of had like loose ideas as to what types of things he might do, but it was like very dependent on the situation, and we kind of got to all find out together.
Yeah, it was a learning experience. We grew together and apart. But I think mostly closer. Moving on down the line, we'll go down to Justin. Justin, what's going on, bud? How you doing? How you living?
Loving life. I'm super excited for this episode. I kind of want to unpack and unwrap some stuff. I love what Ryan did with the story this season. I played the character of Yuri Andropov. I absolutely loved playing Yuri. I am super excited to take over the reins for the second season. However, I am legitimately sad that I will have to hang up my hat, as it were, for Yuri Andropov. I had a blast playing him. I really love that character a lot, actually. Yeah.
You know what? Interestingly enough, Justin, you weren't the only one. We had a couple people give us some messages over the last couple days saying they were sad to see you go, and that Yuri will be a fan favorite for some time, and maybe we haven't seen the last of them. So that's pretty nice, and I'm sure the much anticipated or much broadcast season 2 will come up in our questions here as well, and how that's all going to work. Moving on down the line to our one and only namesake of the Wasteland himself, Grant. Grant, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. This has been a real interesting season for me. As we've all been journeying through the Wasteland, of course, Grant's backstory. He spent some time journeying with Yuri first. It's been a trip because. As the enlightened viewer will recall, one of the things that Grant did in the last couple episodes was come face to face with this haunting thing that he did, which is often the worst kind of regret. It's not experiencing something bad sucks, but experiencing something bad that you did is often much worse. And so being able to get through that was a big deal for Grant. Having Yuri and Johnny by his side with some other colorful folks has been pretty wonderful, and I've enjoyed playing the rifleman. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the nuts and bolts of the last what is it, like 20 something episodes that we've done with specials and sides. And
Yeah, yeah, and hit on a couple interesting notes here. I think we might unpack a little bit as we go
Yeah.
too, especially the for a guy whose name is Rifleman, had a very interesting you're good at shooting, but the Tin Man found his heart a little bit, I think, in this season. So maybe that'll be something that we'll unpack here as well. You all, if you know the channel, you know enough about me. I'm the guy who says the things on the video and plays with the little plastic figures and goes, so I'm good. I will be switching around with Justin, as we've said, into season 2. So I'll be doing some playing, and I'm sure we'll get into some season 2 stuff here as we get going. So a quick heads up on programming on how we're going to do this. So if you've got something that you want to know about, whether it's the character, the seasons, specific episodes, why people did what they did, why people didn't do what they didn't, character development, backstory, how we're managing the technical side of all this, which, shocker, is poorly. You can just let us know in the chat. We're all going to keep an eye on it here and try to curate the questions as we go. So let's get into it right away, and we'll get going from there. So I like this first one here. We've got here from Karaka. I'm going to say that wrong. I apologize. Can we get a bit of a character?
Karkura, maybe? Sorry.
Karkura? Yeah, no, that stands. I like that.
Yeah.
And this is a good place to start, I think. Can we get a bit of a character / personality appearance recap, which isn't something we focus too much on as far as what everybody actually looked like. Kind of let everyone, sort of make that up in their meta. But yeah, why don't we go around the horn and get a bit of a quick description of everybody, and sort of, we'll tag team that in with another question I got here from Levi Roper, which is how you went about creating your characters, not in terms of rules, mechanics, but backstory, character builds, personality, voice, that sort of thing. So we'll make it a double barrel, as we call it in the news biz. So tell us a little bit, about your character, what they look like, what they're all about inside, and how you kind of came about to some of those decisions. I'm gonna eeny meeny miny moe it. In fact, you know what? I'm going to. This is how we're gonna do this. We're gonna roll dice. Yeah, math rocks.
Wow.
Math rocks.
Yeah,
We never do that.
Oh no, so let's go. So 1 and 2 will be Raj, 3 and 4 will be Justin, and 5 and 6 will be Grant. 1 and 2, Raj, we'll start off with you. So tell us, give us a recap, overarching, of Johnny Bottlecap, and how you sort of came to those specific decisions.
Sure, yeah. Johnny is like a young fella, fresh out of Vault Academy. He's very idealistic. Tries to do the right thing where possible, whatever he determines the right thing to be. Like in terms of his appearance, he's like, picture a dude wearing standard Vault-Tec issue security outfit, like shaggy hair, because he's not super clean cut or anything like that. In terms of how I arrived at developing that character, my initial thought was I wanted to base the character off of Maxwell Smart from the show Get Smart. He's just like a lovable,
brilliant. I never caught that.
Yeah, a lovable buffoon, and he's dumb, and his name is Smart. It's really on the nose. And then it was really easy to come up with his name because I knew right away he's gonna be Johnny something. Because anytime you want to come up with like a generic name for a particular thing, like Johnny's, like it's right there. So. And then Bottlecap, because you gotta get paid. You gotta get them dollar bills.
Yeah. I mean that all tracks. That's an interesting parallel. That there was sort of a character basis almost for Johnny Bottlecap, and now that you say it, I totally see it. Kind of like the whole missed it by that much.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah. That's really great for any of our viewers who haven't seen the. Well, it was Steve Carell that did the remake, right? But the original Get Smart TV show from, I think it was the 70s?
Yeah, 60s, I think.
60s or 70s. And it was actually also the same actor was the voice of Inspector Gadget, which was also the the impetus for that. Yeah. So there you go, Johnny. You come from a long lineage of excellent of excellent characters.
Of excellence.
Yeah, of very much excellence. Very cool. There was a question in the stream there, who's going to be playing Johnny or anything like that. I might have not said it too clearly. The only people who are going to be switching musical chairs in this are going to be myself and Justin. Justin's going to be doing overseeing, and now's as good a time as any, I guess, to reveal whom I will be playing in the upcoming season. Fan favorite, Mr. Microwave, will be the NPC who I adopt and take into the new season. It was touch and go on who I wanted to kind of come up with, because we kind of made a rich fiction of secondary characters, and like it was Dorman Guns for like a fucking hot second, but then I was like, well, that almost feels like cheating. So Mr. Microwave, he was our first NPC. It felt right to take him on. So there we go. That's who I'm going to be stepping into. Here we go. We've got we'll move on down the line here. I'm getting lots of good questions, and this is amazing. We'll go keep on this track going with Justin. We'll move down the line to yourself. Tell us about Yuri and how you sort of the description and internally where he came from.
Yeah, Yuri was an interesting build, because when we started talking about doing this podcast, we all play an offline D&D where I play another character with like a very funny accent who kind of is goofy over the top. So I actually kind of just started building him around a bit of an accent first, which was like a generic European, like Yuri Andropov, hello, yeah, Yegshamash. And then so like I wasn't going to do Polish or anything like that, and so I started to think about like the Fallout universe. Mm-hmm. And like China's the big baddie, the big communist baddie in the Fallout universe. So I kind of like did some digging, and I like really enjoyed that in this alternate history that the USSR was kind of like a little cousin, kind of like they didn't really get their shit together. Like in our timeline, they weren't like a superpower. It was China and America. And so I kind of liked that idea of them being like this sort of sister state to China, and kind of started building this ideology around Yuri of him being like, so at the time when I thought it, like this was pre anything that was happening in our world, pre-Ukraine.
Oh yeah, some unfortunate real world events. Fucking poke their nose into our game. Yeah,
for like just a bit. And Ryan and I had this conversation of like, should I just fucking abandon this character? Because like I don't want to like get into a whole fucking jackpot with this. And also because he was like a Catholic priest. Like these are two incredibly charged concepts that I'm smashing together. But I think we got around that with the fact that this is like an alternate history, right? This is in a fantasy world, and I didn't really want to bring too much of our world shit into that in this character. So I really just like the idea of playing sort of Yuri Andropov, who's been ghoulified. Like he did some pretty shady shit in the USSR. He was sent to America as a spy to spy on the citizens there,
which is information backstory we only got in like the final act of the final episode, which like good on you for like holding all that close to your chest for that long. I would have been like, here's my backstory, everyone.
There were some definite hints dropped along the way, like his hacking prowess, lock picking, his weapon skills, like some like when he kind of got a little twitchy there at the end, you kind of saw a little bit of him reverting. But as for the appearance, like Yuri Andropov, when he in his pre-ghoul state was like a nondescript middle-aged dude, fairly slight, fairly slim, medium tall, had the Jean-Luc Picard bird's nest sort of, average ass looking Catholic priest. Like if you've ever seen like a middle-aged balding Russian dude, that's what he looked like. And so I kind of wanted
right there, baby.
Like it's right there on the tin. Like he was very slim, very nondescript. I didn't really want to play him as like a big blustering like hero, like, you know, guns a-blazing and whatnot. I really wanted to sort of lean into a more cautious nature, more thoughtful sort of way to go about it. And honestly, like, to let you all in a little bit, I think I mentioned this a couple times in the show, like Yuri legit believes like he's in purgatory. Like he doesn't believe like this is real life. Like he thinks he's being punished for his sins, and like this is like
some Dante's Inferno shit going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's there to like redeem himself a little bit, to get back into like the good graces, or at least like make whatever world he's in, even if he can't get out of it, like a little bit brighter for the people who are there. Very much a Virgil character from Dante's Inferno.
Yep.
Very much so.
There you go.
So that was kind of like my thought process. I kind of just wanted to make sort of like a dude who fucked up in his like life and is trying to like redeem himself, but is like educated, cautious, sort of that whole vibe.
Yeah, it's interesting to to like and I mean it's not gonna make sense to a lot of people, but like, you know, sort of building the character around sort of that like that accent. That's a tricky place to start, and then where it went from there was like that's some pretty deep. We got one character drawing on fucking Maxwell Smart, and the other one, you know, going deep into Inferno. It's two very different worlds, but very interesting nonetheless. Yeah. The anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's like kind of where I started, and it kind of just developed from there. As the story progressed, I had more and more ideas about like I kind of grew into Yuri. He had places to grow, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and you know, that was something that I think was really cool, because when we did our session 0, you know, there wasn't, you know, nobody had like this really hard roadmap of where their characters were. I mean, everyone had like a little bit of something backstory wise, but you know, we I think on purpose we sort of stayed away from the like, and here's my epic backstory with like every single detail plotted out. Like we were able to kind of fill in a lot of those blanks along the way. And one of those blank slates was Grant, the rifleman. Well, let's move on down the line. Tell us a little bit about both the visual and sort of physical, you know, and internal elements of Grant, and sort of how you came about those.
Yes. Not to oversimplify, but if Johnny started off with a character in mind and Yuri started off with a voice in mind, you might say that Rifleman started off with a thing in mind, which was his rifle. For
Fair
Grant, for Rifleman, his rifle was kind of his defining object through his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
In the current time, late 40s, kind of weather weary. You know, if you see like older people walking around, they're kind of getting a little hunchy. He's tired. He's been on the road his whole life. He was as a child, he was the son of traders who had a little bit of bartering skill. He had a small rifle as a kid, and he would shoot mole rats and bloat flies for anything useful that could be gotten from their corpses, and kind of grew up in that world. Didn't have a great time interacting with his dad, and basically went off on his own into the blustery, dusty world of the wasteland, and ended up making a name for himself doing what he knew how to do, which was shoot things. So I guess the rifleman's life was kind of built around the rifle and the blessing and the curse of guns in general, not to get too weird and political, but given that I know guns are obviously a very charged topic for everybody, but guns can be used for evil and good, and hunting and target practice and everything else. So it's like, and Rifleman discovered that because in the course of doing the work that he had in his backstory, he went from one mercenary group to another, working for somebody else. Made some friends, found out you can lose them pretty easily too. The whole incident in Granby where Rifleman essentially was off with he who would then later be called St. Louis.
Yeah.
Godspeed you, St. Louis.
Godspeed you, St. Louis.
And tried to essentially take away the pain of St. Louis finding his deceased person in this cave. Said, nope, they're not in there. And then the anguish that caused, because it's like, Rifleman thought, if I just hide this incident, then that will be an easier thing for them to have to deal with. But of course, it wasn't his choice. So coming to grips with that was, I think, a big moment. So I think it's been a really interesting sort of path with Grant, trying to find a place to be. That Longmount is a really attractive, almost more than a place. It's like a concept. It's like his Valhalla almost. He's never had a place to go. He's had people to watch his back, which is something he didn't experience in his backstory, because he went from one group to another. The second you leave a group, they don't have your back anymore. So it's like he kind of was this like lone wanderer who wanted to find a pack, found a pack, and then found a place. So Longmount holds a really special kind of part of Rifleman's heart. So I'm sure we'll find in season 2 that he's still doing what he can, even if from a distance, to help Longmount's prosperity. But yeah, sort of more visually, sort of an average looking, not super tall, not that short, not that big, not that small guy. He's got a respirator on that doubles as a bit of a voice box. He did get shot in the throat.
I was about to say, because that's kind of a little bit of the fiction that like kind of just appeared a little bit as sort of the character was developing, and we touched on it a couple times, but not everyone might have seen every second. But the voice mod, that's actually a part of, that's not just you changing your voice from character voice to whatever. That's how Grant sounds because he was shot, right?
Yeah, shot through the throat from the side. So needed something to be able to speak, and this was the best that he could jury rig up and buy from Wasteland Parts. So so most of the time you can barely see his skin. He's sort of looks like a bit of a desert traveler, got goggles on or aviators with a mask on, and a hood. He is all of the characters I've played in like Skyrim. I was the sneaky sniper, right? And a lot of the games they play, that sort of ends up being the character archetype. But so that's sort of where Grant came from. There is a bit of a redemption thing too. I think that probably season 1 helped a lot, but I mean, it's one thing that I think that the Rifleman will keep wanting to do is keep wanting to help people wherever he can and however he can. He thinks that his time is limited, and actually he probably feels like he's on borrowed time. Maybe in a way similar to Yuri, where now it's like, all right, well, he sees great promise in Johnny, his eagerness, his goodness, his sort of unaffected curiosity and willingness to help. And sort of, I feel like I'm a bit of a shepherd almost, in a way, like a big brother kind of person. Uncle Rifleman.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, and it's I think that kind of goes along too with what I mentioned before about how when we first sort of came with this idea, it was there was, I guess you could say now looking at it, there's sort of character archetypes that everyone kind of slid into, but wasn't necessarily the way that it planned to go. We've got hero's journey, right, with Johnny, some fucking Luke Skywalker shit on the go. Then we've got the old master imparting wisdom in the Yuri character, and then the grizzled anti-hero redemption arc, which was an interesting.
Did you just write Star Wars? Fuck,
little bit.
Just use Star Wars.
Kind of, and we even have a weird British robot.
Even have a weird British robot.
Oops. But no, and
a Chewie in guns. Oh my god! Congratulations! You just designed the fucking Pontiac Aztec.
Yeah, it's the crew of the Millennium Falcon. We fucked up. Yeah. But yeah, the sort of the Grant's raidery past and sort of that redemption arc, I think was pretty interesting too, because there was a couple moments where where with like the NCR raiders outside of Boulder, where you were like, well, let's string these fuckers up to the back of the Brahmin and drive them through town, and even in the last battle with Mad Dog, there you're like, let's fucking Vlad the Impaler these motherfuckers, and then got that nope, that's not me anymore, right? Which is interesting to see that it's like, yeah, I'm better, I'm not good, right? Like, yeah, it's
and also like how much he has to kind of keep it in the can.
Yeah,
like it'll just like it comes out a little too easy, and so like his big challenge is like, okay, like it's like a daily choice. It is like he hasn't figured it out. To borrow a term, it's like he's sort of like in recovery constantly, and it's like it takes work on a daily. It's just choices, and it's like, well, you're lucky that I'm on the path that I'm on, because otherwise, oh boy.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, great. Thanks so much for the question there, Karuka, or however you say it. We'll keep on going down the line. We've got a couple other ones here. A quick one we can run through right away. And we kind of touched on it. Halo Nerd 4. Is everyone returning for season 2? Yes, we will all be back with the slight little role change. Justin in the driver's seat, myself as Mr. Microwave, but Grant and Johnny will be returning as Grant and Johnny for whatever adventures Justin has in store for us. An interesting one here, which I'm curious about this as well, because we haven't talked too much about encounter design and that sort of thing offline. eScore asks, near the end of the season, it looked like you three didn't have too much trouble dealing with anything that I threw at you. So I'm curious to see if you think that holds true, and sort of double barrel it again. Are you afraid that with power creep, which is something I was concerned with near the end as well, that it's going to be a walk in the park, or will it be, or will it become a bit too much if every episode you're going to kill some mega creep just to have any challenge? So yeah, do you guys how did you guys think in the in encountery things, which kind of ties into something that I was curious as well.
Was it easy? Because
I don't know, you tell me, because like, yeah,
got a lot. Like after the furry road getting the water tanker away from the fucking Mirelurks, that sucked the moon straight out of the sky.
Yeah.
And also getting fucking absolutely wrecked by that blind cave Yaogwai.
Yeah, he was upset. Yeah.
I think that mostly we kind of picked our fights as best we could. I think that would maybe be the way that I look at it. Like, we definitely weren't a guns a-blazing crew, that's for sure. But like, yeah, even when we went up against the highwaymen at the end there, like I don't think that was too much of a cakewalk. Like Yuri fucking got his bell rung a ton in this.
That's actually,
but that's
true. And like our first actual downing was in that second to last fight in Longmount. The only time one of you actually ever hit 0 HP was Yuri, when you went walking in, fucking just cranking the musket there. Which was interesting. I mean, I will agree, eScorpio, that there was a couple moments where I did feel, I was like, oh fuck, did I make this too easy? But like the Yaogwai in particular, I think that was an interesting fight, because that to kind of go on a tangent a bit, like that whole situation, that whole fight never needed to happen. That I kind of had in the back of my mind, if they go in the mine, there's a Yaogwai in there, but will they encounter it? And I think the only reason I actually was like, no, I'm fucking throwing this at you now, was when Justin, when Yuri fucking hobbit holed Mines of Moria, the whole situation, and like tried to do a stealth,
hard man.
Yeah, stealth roll and crit failed fucking through the fucking groove. So I was like, okay, well now I have to do this. But I think again, like sort of with that encounter sort of design was and it kind of plays into sort of playing the game and also telling the story for you folks to enjoy as well, is that trying to balance the like the difficulty, the threat of it all, and also the reward and punish mechanic of you guys being in in a fight. 'Cause, you know, there was, you know, one thing I will give you guys big credit for on your fights is that, you know, it was never just like, well, we gotta fight till we're all dead now. You know, there was always a point, I think, in almost every battle against a human where you guys went, all right, let's try to talk our way out of this for a second. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And like even like the whole thinking around corners thing, you know, you're fighting a fucking bear in the dark. So, you know, you want to, okay, well, we're just gonna use these mines and like make a torch and stuff like that. So it was like, oh, okay, well, cool. All right. Well, you know, yeah, if they're gonna go, if they're not just gonna be like, and so I reload my gun, then like, yeah, okay, we're gonna, you know, we'll reward that a bit. The Mirelurk fight in particular, you guys did a really smart thing by running away. Let me just say that. Had you have decided to stick around and try to see that to the finish, it would have been a short fucking season, I think.
That didn't seem like it was going to be easy. And actually, from Rifleman's point of view, everything about getting to Dogtown itself, and leaving Dogtown, I was like, my head was on the swivel the entire time.
Mhm.
I was like, this could very well be the end of us, because we've got this precious cargo. Other people want it. We need it, or Enola's in trouble. And, you know, we're letting the whole town down and everything else. So it's like the stakes are high. We can't defend this. I mean, the sort of the tactical side of Grant is like, you know, we're basically walking with a honeypot up in the middle of like bee territory. And like everyone wants a piece, and we can't defend it because if it gets holes, the water's gone and we're toast. So
very true.
Speaking of stakes, actually, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and this is just a minor shift, is that like one of the things that I love that you did, Ryan, was the stakes were high, but also like it's just a story about us trying to set up a fucking like trade route. Like our stakes were high. It was high for us, but it wasn't like, and then we got to get Liberty Prime online to fight the fucking aliens that have come down. And this is like the last resort for all of humanity and blah, blah, blah. Really, we were just trying to set up like a long haul trucking route. And like, for us, like encapsulated in the story, there were high stakes, but like, I really enjoyed that balance of like, it wasn't like a world ending catastrophe, but the story was engrossing. Like we cared that this fucking mattered, that this, like, we wanted to get this shit done.
There was a, you know, there was a goal, you know, that sort of appeared pretty early on, it kind of out of the fucking blue, to be honest, after our first session, was like, oh yeah, trade route, that's a perfect thing. Well, you guys killed the merchant in the town, why don't we make that the first quest? And it ended up being, you know, the main arc, which I think this will parlay very well into the next question. But for the second half of your question, iScorpy, afraid that with power creep will either be a walk in the park or be a bit too much if we're taking on, you know, fucking superhuman behemoths every time.
Can I take a stab at that? Because I have the most ridiculous rifle. And it's, I mean, as far as the game mechanics go, and I only have like 2 upgrades on that thing, but I do 8 combat dice.
That's a lot
with my 308. And like there's room for that to go up if I went with the 50 cal receiver or whatever. So it's like, but I don't feel like I'm overpowered because my strength and endurance are like 4. You know, I'm not a tough guy. I've been brought down to almost dead at least 3 times that I can remember. And like, to sort of dovetail into the last question, that confrontation with the Remnant, when the Highwaymen showed up too, had we played that even remotely differently, we would have been fighting 2 groups of people and probably would have get wiped out.
Very true.
As it turned out, we didn't know this at the beginning, but I don't. So it's like it's tough because like I played this pen and paper role playing game in the 90s called Cyberpunk 2020, and I remember in the referee guide to that game, it was called "Listen Up, You Primitive Screwheads," and there was a sidebar in that book that said, if my players get too strong, I just drop an elephant on them. I got lots of elephants. And so like Ryan could just be like, well, now there's 2 Yaguai. So it's like it's hard for a player to really feel confident that they are super powerful because the world sort of adjusts. Right now it's like,
it's very true.
People are going to come at me because they want my rifle because they heard it's powerful, and now the thing I'm carrying that I used to act is the reason why I'm getting hunted.
Yeah, now
so,
you got the fucking Beskar, so they're all coming
Right.
at you.
Yeah, very, very, very true. Yeah, I'm interested to see where Justin goes. With encounter-y type things, and we'll do a little season 2 unpacking. I think because I think we'll have questions for Justin too about where that goes in the next half. We'll answer a couple more, and then you know what, we're having fun. You guys want to do this for longer than an hour?
yeah.
Yeah,
fucking
we're having a
let's
time.
Yeah.
We're just gonna
continue
keep
to
going.
talk.
We are keeping it so fucking loose today. I don't know if you know. Not like we're really uptight anyway, but
I'm super excited.
This
The
is
amount of-
really loose, though.
yeah, the amount of
very-
planning that didn't go into this could fill a
It'd
couple
blow your
days.
mind.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but that's good. We'll go. I think Justin, so are you talking about the the stakes and our overarching quest is a good parlay into this question, and we'll go around the horn again. Best thing about the campaign / setting in your guys' opinion. This is from Arthur Dias. Let's go with Johnny Bottlecap. Raj, what was your favorite thing about the campaign and or setting, sort of story wise or otherwise?
I think Longmount. That's an easy pick, but I mean it's kind of a central theme. It's Johnny was born and raised in a vault, and he's never had that like above ground experience, let's call it, like a place to call home that's like more of a traditional setting. So it's really important to him that it's become kind of like home, and now they're doing all these, the party being they are doing things to support their home, and I don't know, it's part of his identity. So I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me.
I like that. That's a very, very good answer. Justin, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think wow, it seems like forever ago, but like it was a year ago when we kind of started to sit down and plan this, and we kind of just talked about like where and when we actually wanted to set this. Like so I think that my favorite like goes back to that world building conversation that we had offline when we first started going. Like, where do we actually want to put this? Do we want to put this somewhere super lore heavy so that we have a lot to draw on? Like, if it's in the NCR, if it's in Hub City, or if it's somewhere that like the game already exists,
right?
Then we can kind of like build off of that. But then also you have to fact check and go around and like, so I like that it was in Colorado, also because like we're all kind of from Alberta, which is very, very Colorado-esque.
Yeah, it's like straight
so,
shot
like, in my head canon. Yeah, it's basically the exact same place, just more north. So like in my head canon, it was very easy for me to like picture this place, picture Longmount.
Totally.
Picture the foothills, picture the Rocky Mountains, be like in it. So I kind of like the fact that we were kind of playing around the edges, the gray area of like lore adjacent, but it also kind of felt like playing on home turf, like that moment where I said like I was burying fucking what's his dipshit, Not So Honest Abe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that moment where like you're far enough away from the barn party while you're having a cigarette where you can hear all the conversations and stuff.
It's giving me a chill right now.
You also hear simultaneously the absolute silence of the prairies. Like if you've ever kind of like been to a small town party or like grown up in like Alberta, like that,
a roadhouse on the side of the fucking highway, like
yeah, exactly. Sort of that feeling. It felt very much like it was easy for me to put myself in Colorado, in that place.
Yeah, very, very interesting there too. And on that as well, had a question about why we chose where we chose, and that sort of that parlays into that very, very well. We chose, we had this conversation offline before we even threw down on the first thing. We just got together and said, how do we want to go, and we just kind of spitballed it as we went, and settled on Colorado because there's some lore there. Like New Vegas has some like little interesting drops in it about Caesar's Legion doing stuff in the area like Dogtown and things like that, and also Tactics, Follow Tactics plays around in that space as well. And while Tactics, yes, it's not canon, it's canon light, right? Because there's things that happen in or happened in Tactics that were, retconned a bit in Fallout 3, the Brotherhood blimps and that sort of thing. So it felt like a good place that we could, a nice sort of sandbox that we could fuck around in and also have, could lean on a couple things, by pulling in a couple familiar faces like the NCR and the Legion, but then come up with completely fucking brand new factions like the Highwaymen and stuff like that. So that was I can't remember who asked that, but we did get it, and I don't have it on my list. So there we go. But finishing off that last question with Grant, favorite moment, favorite sort of thing about the setting, the campaign, the story. How about it?
Yeah. So I have two big points on this. One is, excuse me. I had the opportunity to drive from Alberta down to Texas about 10 years ago. And I had a moment when I was in Wyoming where I suddenly felt very small. I was using maps on my phone and I kept zooming in to the point where I could see my GPS dot of my car. And then I'd zoom out to be like, where the hell am I? And it was like, as I zoomed out on the map, it's like, this is a big state. Oh my God, the US is a big country. North America is a very large continent. Like, holy shit, I'm tiny. And to me, like Wyoming, Colorado are kind of the essence of, I suppose, the, like, as Justin was saying, the sort of near home, Fallout-y kind of dusty wasteland, but like also there's like a beauty to it. And I think there is something kind of hauntingly lovely and also bleak and lonely about the prairies. And in a setting where there's even less water than there already is, it's sort of this like almost desert-like thing. And like, I find some comfort in it. At the same time, it's like horrifying.
Totally. Yeah.
So that I really like that about just the setting in general. One thing about the campaign that I really have enjoyed is in a lot of tabletop games, there's like, it's a very polarized good versus evil, and good goes and fights evil and evil's up to no good. Right. Whereas we had multiple times when it was kind of more like good can become evil, evil can become good. And everyone's just trying to survive. It's like, what are the costs of us doing what it is that we're doing? It's like, well, and like to hone in on one particular moment when Grant was told by the NCR, basically, we'll wipe your slate clean if you go take care of this guy. And I'm sitting there with him in my sights, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to keep doing this. This person obviously is moving on. They're living their lives. I don't know if they deserve this, and it's not my place to do this. Also, fuck the NCR in general.
Yeah,
Rifleman's opinion, not mine. But so it's sort of the two faces on the coin, good and evil, kept on flipping around a little bit, and it's like, all right, well then what else can be our compass?
Totally.
Because if you're just the good guy and you're just out killing the bad guys, that gets a little thin. So yeah,
very, very interesting. That actually that goes into a question we had there too, which I'm getting so many now. These are all great. You guys are doing a fantastic job. But there was a question. Arthur Diaz again, double whammy. If I had any ideas before sessions that had to drop mid campaign, and on that, Grant, on the sort of good guys, bad guys sort of thing, the short answer to that is yes, every fucking episode. But in particular, the biggest sort of one, and these were all small things, like whether you encountered a specific character, whether a specific character even existed at all, coming up with some stuff. There was I had a whole idea for a whole other sort of a caravan, a competing caravan to the Crimson Caravan called the Rad Stag Express. And I think when you guys first got to Boulder City, I had mentioned sort of like, okay, here's uptown, downtown, here's all the different groups, and here's where they are. It's your sandbox. What do you want to do? Who do you want to go talk to? I mentioned them in there, but I didn't. I try the best not to railroad when it doesn't make sense. Sometimes I know it's a dirty word, but sometimes you just have to fucking get your players where they need to be. That sort of moment in particular, I had this whole idea for this other caravan, and you guys were just like, nope, fuck it, Crimson Caravan. That's the only that's the game we know. It's the game in town. I was like, okay, fine. And so I ended up changing the idea for that sort of entirely, was that it's just a messenger service. So whenever I needed at that point to quote unquote railroad you guys with a new piece of information that like you weren't fucking tripping over or that you weren't going out of your way to find, I forcibly fucking made you trip over it by putting this little messenger boy. I was like, oh, Newsy's here, who like gave you guys, I think it was only twice I used that mechanic. But that was a big one. And also on top of that was the whole Legion are the bad guys, NCR are the good guys, swap that around. Originally, you guys were supposed to I had plans for you guys to encounter the Legion on like episode 3, like really fucking early, and it wasn't until halfway through or the end of Furry Road where they first sort of made an appearance. And I think pretty much in like every, more or less, I had, okay, thinking, how are these, what might they do this time around? There was always and maybe I'll drop the Legion on them now too. And it just never made sense. And it felt really ham-fisted until it didn't. And then when you guys were on the road with this giant, thing of water, and I'd already planted the seed of there's somebody watching you out there, which, like, for the record, I had no fucking clue who was going to be up in those hills watching you guys until like the session that you actually encountered them. So yeah, things like that. And there was smaller stuff to like Dorman Guns had a completely different name, and I saw in the chat there that people were talking about that as well, how that name just kind of came up, and like that happened by accident. His name was supposed to be Paul, which was supposed to be a weird throwback to a character in our like old Fallout Wasteland Warfare RPG that we used to play offline. And I used that name by fucking random when you guys came into Boulder City again. It was like, you guys asked, so who's the sheriff in town? And I fucking froze, and I was just like, Paul. And then you guys never went to go see the sheriff, which I thought was interesting as well. So then when Dorman Guns came along, I was like, fuck, I just used the name that I had. It was like, I was specifically like, Paul the Super Mutant is going to be so good. And then I had to just fucking come up with something on the fly. And there you go. Fan favorite NPC, who fucking knew. Very good. We've got someone new joining the chat. Who's joining with us? The Mercenary just subscribed. Thank you, Mercenary, for subscribing on Twitch. Speaking of which,
everybody likes a friendly Dorman. Just want to say that.
Having been one in your past, can go with that.
Yeah.
I think I rambled on long enough to answer that question of stuff that I dropped mid-campaign. A quick one I think we can cover is from our good pal Hondat, who's currently running the caravan in Longmount. Who came up with the whole idea of this series, and who came up with doing the holiday sessions? It was actually Justin who came up with the original. Hey, what if we did a different show? Which is a super cool. Originally, the idea was to be an audio only podcast, and we're going to be doing it. We weren't sure exactly how we're going to be doing it, and then when Modifius came out with the 2D20 system, it all that's what sort of sparked it for Justin to be like, hey, let's give this a shot and try to do this podcast thing that we've been kind of toying with, different ideas over the years. And then when they said that they were looking for streams to promote, and I already had the YouTube channel on the go, it just seemed like an interesting marriage. Holiday sessions was my idea for the Halloween one, just because I think Halloween was falling on like the week that we had a stream, so it just kind of made sense to fun to do. But maybe Justin, you can sort of talk about the podcasty sort of where that idea came from, and what we might see from that in the future if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, well, like I said, we've been talking about it or as you said, I should say, we've been talking about it for like ever. Like, we should start a podcast. Like, we had the Wasteland Warfare RPG that we kind of chopped and screwed together. And yeah, I wanted to do a podcast for a long time, and it was like smack dab in the middle of COVID, and I kind of just said, "Fucking, I mean, if not now, then when?" Like
Totally.
everyone's got time. Let's actually fucking do this. And I think I called you up, yeah, on like a summer night in the beginning of August or something, and being like, "Hey, like we're gonna actually fucking do this right now.
Yeah.
Like, let's sit down, let's record, let's do that." And then it actually ended up just being easier to vodcast it on YouTube and Twitch and stuff that way. And I think even later that night, or maybe within the next couple days, I got in contact with Raj and Grant, and I said like, "Hey, like let's do this. Like,
You guys want to be on television?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to be on TV?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah." And that was like literally the response. Like both of you all were like, "Yeah, let's fucking do that." Like absolutely. So there was some kind of like, okay, so here's the vibe. Here's the vibe we're gonna go for. Here's sort of the content we're gonna pitch out there. Because Fallout can get icky, but
Totally.
like we don't want it to be like super grim, dark, edgelord, super icky, like comedy.
Just a little bit of ick, like movie theater carpet sticky,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like greasy, but not gross.
Yeah.
Fun weird, not yucky weird. So we had
having a dart, not chain smoking.
Yeah,
Definitely
we
not
had some
eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
Definitely not. We had some discussions, and then I think like maybe even a week later, we kind of just sat down and had a conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, we actually tried to podcast first. We sat down. I think our session 0 and our world building sort of session just between the four of us. We got a podcasting software and we like all tried to stream in, and it just didn't fucking work. And it was
hard. Like
it was just weird. Yeah,
and the quality there.
Yeah, and so yeah,
the podcast. I mean, what I eventually want to do when we have time and the resources, whatever, is to go back through the back catalog and sort of chop it and edit it down from what we broadcast down to like a 30 to 45 minute, add the post-production, sound effects, music and stuff. But
yeah,
obviously that takes work, and I would love to do that eventually, but I think what we've got going on is pretty sweet right now with the vodcast, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and one interesting element, I mean, like, we already had the channel on the go, which is another pandemic baby, which is now, the fucking greatest idea I've had in the last 10 years, which fucking you guys are the fucking best. The only reason we're doing any of this is because you guys have gotten on board, and thank you all so much.
Yes.
Yeah, like fucking the hat really goes off to you guys. We're putting in the behind the scenes stuff, but if nobody was watching, I mean, we'd be doing it anyway. Just we wouldn't be streaming to everybody. Just sort of piggybacking. We tried the audio only sort of thing, and it just kind of made sense just to tie it into the channel rather than have two separate entities. We already had, some built-in friends of the channel and audiences and stuff. And plus we get to use cool stuff, like, this cool new stream overlay that we've had in the last couple episodes and the background music that you hear in there. And I think the best part, again, going back to you guys and gals there at home, is that we get to interact with you guys like this, which is something that if we were just sitting and putting a podcast out every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, we wouldn't get that feedback. And some of the best moments I think for me in this campaign have come through chat stuff, whether it be like mentioned in there, Hondat, how Dorman Guns' name was born, to a Fumbles coming in hot with some fucking roll saving donations in the last couple episodes, stuff like that. So that's been really cool.
Yeah.
I think has been one of
Hondat himself, like the character Hondat, is because you just pulled that out of like an early adopter of the channel.
Yep.
And so now like Hondat's like a legit established character,
which is super fun.
That wouldn't have happened in a sort of vacuum like a podcast of just putting that out.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's been an interesting, like, it wasn't, I think a lot of things with this campaign or this show, that, the things we planned didn't go as planned in the best fucking possible way. Because, you know, this was all very much the fact that this channel exists, the fact that the show exists, the fact that you guys are getting into it, all of it is a happy accident of the highest order of magnitude. I think I can double barrel another quick question here coming in hot from, we've got another one from Kakura, and I'll tie it in with Arthur Diaz's question here as well. How did you guys put together the animated stream overlay, and what softwares have you used for recording, playing, etc.? Glad you asked. We started off using Tabletop a program which we will not name because they haven't given us free shit. We started off using
sponsoring us.
Yeah, because they're not doing anything.
But it rhymes with schmable schmop schmimmy.
Precisely. For broadcast, and like this has all been a new learning experience. Like the only reason that we're doing any of this again is because, you know, we had an idea to do a podcast and it sort of evolved. But Streamlabs, OBS, or just any sort of OBS at the moment. Which is super cool. So we've been doing that for handling all of the actual broadcasting to YouTube and Twitch. Twitch is, we're on Twitch because all the streamers are on Twitch. YouTube is my home. It's where I'm safe. It's like this sweater. It's where I like to be. So we do YouTube, Twitch. There was some thoughts about, you know, trying some Instagram stuff. We do have an Instagram, but it's mainly just for channel promotion and for, you know, painting minis and stuff. But as far as software, we got the Fantasy Grounds, which you see their logo there. They were kind enough to give us a free copy of the 2D20 game to play. It's really cool, the way that we can all sort of interact and how it does all the rolls for you. It's very much like a Roll20 if you used something like that before. Very integrated, very amazing. Huge shout out to Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds April Hill, which if you guys and gals haven't watched, Vault, it was originally Vault 42, but now it's on the channel Initiative Order. Like she got this whole sort of Fallout Wasteland Warfare thing going. She works for Modifius now. She's gonna be at Gen Con as well. So go check that out. They put us in touch with Fantasy Grounds, who gave us the software, which is just amazing. The overlay is an add-on. It's the best thing ever. It's a package called FOCK, FOCK, and it's the Fallout overlay something. If you Google Fallout Twitch overlays, you'll find it. It comes in this huge PDF zip file with all these different assets. They're all sort of pre-programmed and the like. It's not a free thing. You have to buy for it. So again, because of all some of your folks' amazing donations, I think we've lost Justin, but he will be back. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, which the few but mighty that have gotten on board with giving us some financial support help pay for some of the upgrades that we've seen recently, like the Streamlabs, so we can stream to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Some of the other add-ons that we've got here as well, like the FOCK overlays, which are a ton of fun. Other things program-wise, I am using Renaissance. It's a soundboard. That's what I use to sometimes trigger like the Mysterious Stranger sound, or the Nola's dog bark. Nola's cow moo, Duke's dog bark. The gunshots, that sort of thing. Those things are put in through there, but everything else is run through OBS, which is just a streaming program. It's free. Go and check it out. And we also use OBS Ninja, which is a web platform for actually streaming all of our different faces onto the thing. Excuse me. Let's go and see. We've lost Justin. Don't know where he's at. Moose Internet. Maybe acting up on him. Don't know where he's gone, but we'll keep moving at this pace here, and I will go with what else do we got? And Power Creep, got that one. Halo Nerd 4. Did we use a Wild Wasteland like encounter page, and when do you choose to implement it? Yes, found on the Modifius forums. If you folks go over there, you can find the 2D20 thread, and a very prolific brewerist. We got Justin back. There he is. Hey, pal. All good. You're here now. Sorry, what was I saying? We'll get Justin in here first, and then we'll keep going from there. Give me one moment. Apologies, folks. Here we go. We're getting him back. Guess who's back? Back again. There we go. Justin's back.
Hello, friend.
Yes, a Wasteland Warfare encounter. Random Wasteland encounter page. Yes, a prolific homebrewer by the name of Mortagon, I believe that's how you say his handle or their handle, is on the Modiphius forums and came up with a number of 100 random encounter tables, and we use that to trigger some of the more random stuff that you would encounter in the Wasteland, specifically because there was a lot of times where pre-planning stuff just didn't make a lot of sense if you guys were just on some of the early episodes road tripping from point A to point B, and that was usually based off of Johnny's D100 rolls. It just made sense that Raj had a brand new fancy D100 that he hadn't rolled yet, and we had these 100 encounter pages, so it just all worked out. And as for when choosing to implement it, basically when things went wrong or just kind of had to just kind of keep it in the back pocket. It was nice to know that it was there if either, I was lacking for, an idea that week or, something else to do. So that was just, or if they failed like a survival check, especially bad. There were some times where I had, I had it sort of in my head in the roadmap. Okay, well, if they're traveling and they're doing such and such, if they want to keep it stealthy or whatever, do a test, and if they fail, trigger the D100 roll. But it kind of just happened when it happened, and one of the beauties of DMing, especially like with these characters, being so sort of dynamic and just coming up with shit on the fly, was that it when it made sense to use it was all of a sudden very obvious whenever it came about. But one thing with those tables is that they would roll, I would look at it, and I wouldn't take it all as gospel. If I would just use it as a way to sort of prime an idea. Some of them didn't make sense if they rolled, I think the very first one was the Mr. Microwave encounter, and it was, the encounter a Mr. Handy that, attacks them automatically or something. I was like, well, yeah, I like the Mr. Handy part of that, but like I don't want to just, aha, attack, surprise. Like let's just see what happens with this character who was just completely on the fly. So now is going to be the NPC or the PC that I take into the second season was a randomly generated character from a D100 roll. So there you go. We'll go on. We're gonna change up just a wee bit here, and why don't we? It's a little after 8. Why don't we take a 15 or maybe let's call it a 10-minute break? We'll get those prize packs in before the coming back. If you guys want to win that. Fallout 2D20 starter set, comment ! prize pack in the chat. One entry per viewer, and we will make the draw when we come back from the break. But yeah, we'll come back in another 10 minutes, and we'll chat for probably another half an hour or so, depending on how things go, and then we'll let y'all get on your Merry Friday. So there we go. We'll sign off very briefly here. We'll be back at 8:20. Let's say. Go grab yourselves a drink, and come on back now. You hear? Bye.
Come on back.
And we're coming back, baby boy.
Baby boy.
Which somehow became the unofficial slogan of the campaign / channel. Became all of us saying in a weird fucking New Jersey accent or something, baby boy. No idea. Hey,
Baby
how it
boy.
happened.
It's
Where it
going to
came
be on
from?
a t-shirt one day.
But we're here now. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Good to see y'all hanging out. We got a couple new folks popping in there. EJ Red, nice to see you. Glad you could make it for the second half, just in time to get the name into the draw there. I am happy to announce that we have a winner of the 2D20 prize pack. Thank you all for sticking around and for throwing your names into the hat. Very happy to say that first time, long time, Halo Nerd 4 is the winner of our draw here. Trying to get the wheel spinner working.
Nerd.
Congratulations, Halo Nerd. Trying to get the
bud.
wheel spinning thing, but it's a plug-in for Streamlabs that it gives me a fucking constant headache. So I just random number generated it. And Halo Nerd, you have won. Drop us a line, send us an email at wgnewsradio@gmail.com or jump on the Discord, send me a message there, Ryan Danger 87, or Instagram, wherever you find your WGNR news, then please do contact us. Again, that email, WGNewsradio gmail.com. Reach out, let us know it's you, and we'll get that sent to you through via the Modifius store. So thank you for everyone for tuning in and for entering all the giveaways. Super fun. We've had a lot of fun giveaways over this season. We had the Grognak Mini, we had the digital copies of the rule book, we had the dice, lots of fun stuff. So we'll definitely keep those going as we get some of those freebies. I think, don't quote me on it, but we might have some fun stuff through Fantasy Grounds for season 2 to do some raffles for you folks as well. If you ever want to throw your name in that hat and you want to double your chance to win, shameless plug for our Patreon. You can find the links down below. Subscribing at the top tier gives you double entry into our giveaways. We don't do them that often, but that's because we're still fucking broke. So the more people sign up to Patreon, the more free shit we can give away to you. Anyway, moving on down the line. Thank you all so much again for coming back. We're gonna do a few more questions from the crowd here that we've got, and then we're gonna do a quick little questions from each of the players to ask to either themselves or to another player, and then we're gonna do a quick little sneakum peekum at some of what Justin has in plan for season 2. So stick around to the end for some of that goodness. Let's jump into it. Congrats again, Halo Nerd. If you have any more questions, now's the time to get them in. We're gonna do a couple more before we do questions from the cast. So jumping right back into it. We'll go with another question from friend of the channel, Levi Roper. LR Tabletop has provided us some amazing terrain, including, it's packed up in my boxes right now, but the long mount sign set piece, which has been featured in some battle reports, was made by Levi Roper. So he asks, have you guys ever thought about writing up the story officially for people to play through as well? The short answer to that is yes. The long answer to that is eventually. We've talked about it. Again, all of this has kind of been happening spur of the moment. But really, the idea sort of got started there. There was one of our viewers who I can't remember now, and if you're in the chat now, please let me know it's you. But had mentioned that they had started their own 2D20 campaign with some friends and playing the game, and that they imported, if you will, Yuri into their game as
was
an
wildly flattering, by the way,
Yeah.
crazy flattering.
super cool. To have Yuri show up as an NPC in their game, super cool, super fun, and that sort of did get the ball sort of talking, thinking a bit, and we've had sort of conversations offline about how we want to do that. And so yes is the short answer. We have sort of thought about putting together sort of like a little one shot of the sort of the first chapter, if you will, of the campaign of the last season proper. The heist at the heist in the library, in the power generator, the fight in the library, the ruins of Niwat, all that kind of fun stuff, and all the way up to sort of the Mr. Microwave sort of idea, and then letting it kind of people do what we did, just sort of make the story up as they go along. So it's something we thought about, we may do in the future. Again, it's sort of one of the, if you guys could see my bulletin board here above above my desk, it's just like it's like serial killer mind map shit of just like all these different recipe like cue cards of all these different ideas we have on the go, and it's just a matter of manpower. And also my own sanity.
Like if we got paid to do this, I would just do nothing but pump out content. You would have audiobooks, you would have podcasts, you would have vodcasts, you would have,
and you never know. I mean, we're
modules.
To borrow a term from the tech world, we're always slowly scaling up here, and that is one thing that we're looking to do, as well as some Fallout Wasteland Warfare stuff as well. I've got some ideas for some sort of prepackaged campaigns. Like the New Vegas campaign that we did was great, but that's an official Modifius book, whereas the Assembly Required Brotherhood of Steel campaign, that was all sort of out of the top of my head using the different scenarios. So there's plans for some more sort of WGNR content in the world of sort of these games, but of course Bethesda is Bethesda, and they they are litigious, we'll say. So it wouldn't be Fallout 2D20, it would be Trip Over 2590 or Nuclear Worlds game.
You got nuclear snowflakes.
Yeah, totally.
Nuclear ash, 2D20.
Yes, exactly. So
Unless we had a licensing deal in place, which is like
Totally,
easier to
which-
do when there's more money involved also. So
yeah,
like
which will totally
we've thought about it.
Yeah, so
It's
we
on,
thought about it.
on the radar.
We're thinking about it. We'll see what else comes. Another question we got here was from this is a good one. I was wondering if anyone would get this. Escorp again. Didn't the crew, after reporting to the NCR, left town ASAP and headed to Longmount? How did Mad Dog get there first? Great question. There's a little bit of plot armor there for sure. Just in that. I wanted to have some sort of a fight, and sort of Mad Dog and the Highwaymen sort of ending up being the BBEG, if you will, of the campaign was never in sort of the pre-plan at all. But you will recall, Escorp, that when the guys did leave town, they decided to take the long way around and take the Boulder Loop going through the Altona Hotel and then back that away. Whereas they could have done the cut straight through Niwot, which is a straight shot, takes less than a day really to get to.
And I think we did stop overnight at Altona, didn't we?
You did the overnight stop at Altona. So it
we were beat up. We were hauling ass, but you can only go so fast with.
I will admit, you did catch me a bit. I did massage the timelines a little bit for sure, especially like it was supposed to be a 3-day trip. And they got there, like they spent one night and then, the next day they were there. But again, mechanics story wise, and that kind of leans a lot on, something that we've always been sort of debating while we were doing the show was, the difference between like rules lawyery, like, you didn't fucking roll the thing versus trying to tell, a good story. So, if we had, seen the smoke burning in Longmount, but it takes them 2 days to walk there because that's how long I said in episode 2 it takes to get there. That's no fun for anybody, especially the finale was like, yeah, let's get a fucking gunfight at the OK Corral on the go here. So you're right. There was a shortcut, but it's a canonical shortcut. It's there. It's in the early episodes.
There was some rule of cool happening.
We did stop at the Altona. So like if you just hiked day and night, you could get back 8 hours before we did. So
there's a little bit of suspend your disbelief going on with everything, that we do. But yes, you are the first one. And I had a thought there too. I was like, now, does this make sense timeline wise? But again, nobody wants to sit down and, do the math and, how many fucking bullets did I carry? And this is the bullets we do keep track of, but like
do
how
you
much
feel lucky?
How much does this?
I do. Yeah. You guys are not keeping track of your bullets.
You guys are getting paid.
Are you not?
You guys are getting paid. And we'll do one more here from the crowd before we go around the horn from the players. Let me see what we've got left in the tank. Let's do another one here. Well, I think we've almost covered everything we got, which is pretty cool. Looking. Oh no, we did that one. Actually, Justin, I think you said we had a question in from.
We got one sent in by Schwib Hanserjäger.
Ryan Gale,
and
did you see
they asked, how did we all meet? So, I mean, I think ubiquitously it was university.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's a generic call for sure.
That tracks.
I know Raj and I attended the University of Calgary at the same time. Became quite good friends there, and Grant was a doorman at the student
Dorman
bar.
Guns.
He was Dorman Guns.
The original Dorman Guns.
Yeah, and I met Raj either first or second year. I definitely met Liam or Grant my first year. And then Ryan, he was attending a different university, Mount Royal, but he came for I used to help volunteer for this thing called That Empty Space, where we get like local bands in to play for the students at like $3 beer. And he showed up one day, and we literally just drank beer that afternoon, and then went over to the student bar and became like instant best friends. And it's been like that since.
Did we just become best friends?
16
You want to do karate in the garage?
Yeah, natural progression. Friends of friends, sort of like how the whole thing started spinning, and we've all been the best of friends ever since. I've lived we've all been 2 out of 3 roommates with each other at one point in time. So we go back a ways. You could say for sure. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because there's been a lot of folks like sometimes have asked like, wow, you guys have really good chemistry. It's like, well, fuck, we better at this stage of the game. Like if we don't by now,
problem.
yeah, like if it was like, he's an okay guy, then like, I wouldn't have lived with you for like 4 years, Raj, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, so that's kind of keeping it all in the family, and actually Liam, I keep saying that, Grant. Now you got that name stuck in my head. Grant was the different guy. Grant was the DM in our D&D campaign that myself still is, yeah. And we all work together now to doing in that campaign, and Raj is in that one too. So everybody sort of all the streams are crossed, to use a Ghostbusters reference. And then we've got one more here, which we will ask, and then we'll go on to Around the Horn. And this is the one I was saving for last because I'm very curious. Looking back at the campaign, would you change anything you did in terms of actions or character build? Let's start with Grant.
Change anything? So there's sort of 2 responses, I guess. One is like Duke, my trusty hound sidekick. On the one hand, I want to say I wish I had utilized Duke more kind of mechanistically in the game, because having the perk dog meat, I think it's called, off the top of my head, grants you sort of access to a canine companion, but then at the same time I also don't want him to get hurt. So
yeah.
And I think he only got about like 8 hit points or something, so like not really tanky.
No, not at all.
And even though in the game mechanics say like, if you lose your dog, you can just find another one with the same perk. It's like, well, I don't want any dog. I want Duke. So that's sort of one thing. And then like I would say the second is it's not so much a particular thing, but sort of going back to earlier, like Grant is sort of perpetually trying to not fall back into raidery ways. And so I'd say it seems like any regrets Grant has are when he kind of gets close to the edge, right? It's a little too much. And then like it's sort of like there's that like, oh, like when you see the darkness in yourself, you're like okay, well, that's a thing. So I would say that for Grant. And into season 2, it's still that sort of managing that, moving forward, trying to be a better man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the dog meat perk mechanics are interesting. I think it's like if you're using, and Duke didn't end up in combat very much. I think after he got that stray shot in like the first real battle with Honest Abe, was that like if you're in combat, you get like a free attack or like an extra we used it so rarely, I don't even remember what the rule is. I think you get like extra combat dice or like a second attack or something.
Yeah, it's like another D20 as like an assist.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. So something we might see a little bit more of in season 2, maybe. We'll go reverse down the line then. We'll go to Justin. Same question. Anything you would change in terms of actions or character build?
I mean, it's gonna kind of sound condescending and dickish. Not condescending, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Go
on. No, like I don't. I'm really I know I'm gonna separate me as a player from me as a character right now, but like in the most humble way possible, I'm really proud of Yuri. Like I kind of brought him into the game as sort of like this lone, just him and his Brahmin, and then sort of before the game even started, like there was the conceit that Grant and I had already met and we've been working together for a little bit, and then we met Johnny and stuff. So like I think there was a lot of growth there for Yuri. I think there was a lot of opportunity that you put out there for him, and there's nothing off the top of my head really that I'm like, oh, wish I hadn't have done that. Like, I think I tried to play him as true to sort of the character that I had built up in my head, and I'm really proud and happy of the way that he developed and like the person he is. If you play tabletop games for long enough, like, and we've had this conversation offline before with D&D and Fallout, is like these people become real to you. Like, we have an NPC in our D&D game who like our characters would die for, like,
Yeah,
and
totally.
almost have multiple times. Like these people become real, and I'm really proud of how Yuri has developed, and I don't think I would change much of anything. He did get close to the edge there at the finale with the whole he was going to waterboard that guy.
Yeah, that was dark.
Little
Yeah, that
KGB.
got a little dark, but I think that was a good, Grant mentioned this before, of like getting close to that edge and then like having it backed off, of like you could have just reverted back to, you know, the person that you had hated before you got to this point. But like I think that was a really good moment of just MacArthur putting like a hand on his chest and being like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Let's do anything else, but we're not doing that.
Do less.
So
yeah.
I don't think that there's anything necessarily that I would change about Yuri. I wouldn't have taken like some skills, some lockpick skills and shit, because I almost never use that.
Sure.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm really happy and proud of pretty much all the decisions that Yuri made. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. It's interesting too, like that. Speaking as a quick aside, that moment, the we'll call it the waterboarding incident. That was like, that was a test. That was like a very interesting like move, because like there's always the like the yes and right, from like a DM and a playing perspective, but there's a really interesting mechanic I also like called no but. And this was a very interesting moment, because like in the moment I was like, fuck, oh no, we can't, like we always say we don't want to get too dark, this is the darkest it's been, and I was like, oh wait a minute, I don't have to let this happen. This can be, not unlike the Grant moments where he sees red. This can be a chance to like grow and evolve the character in a like no but sort of scenario.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like
I'm not bragging on you. It was great. I liked it.
No, not at all. Like I got wrapped up in the moment of being super pissed off as Justin, the player, that like they're attacking Longmount, like for sure. And I was like, you know what? Yuri wouldn't fucking stand for this shit. Give me water, give me a bucket and a fucking rag. And then you were like, no, but, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Right.
We're the good guys.
Yeah.
Good guys don't waterboard people.
It's not a family show, but that like, just wanton torture is about where we're crossed the line. But again, it ended up being, I think those are some of the more interesting sort of moments in the campaign, have been the things where, it's I have an idea and it's just so crazy it might work, and then other times where it was just like, that's a oh yeah, no, I'm gonna step myself back from that. Was really interesting. But to finish off the question proper, we'll go to Raj. Anything that you and or Johnny would change in terms of actions and or character build?
Honestly, to borrow an answer from Yuri, no. I like how everything played out, good, bad, medium, otherwise kind of thing. I mean, do I regret shooting those innocent raiders? Yes. But would we not be in a we would not be living in a post mistakes do happen world if not for that incident. So I mean,
there's something to be said there. Yeah,
exactly. It shapes where we are. I don't regret the path we took to get to where we are, because I think we ended up in a pretty sweet spot, and I think we did some pretty cool things. So no regret. Zero.
I think like if anybody would just be like, well, that's the way the fucking cookie crumbles, that's Johnny, right? Like that's like kind of your character in a nutshell. And gave us the official slogan of the channel and the campaign: mistakes do happen, which we will end off with. I said it was the last one, but there is one more, and again, it's from a man, I score P, and the question is, do mistakes happen?
Mistakes do happen.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Undoubtedly, indubitably, you name it.
Didn't I shoot Honda in the stomach or something?
Yeah, that happened. Maybe that one. One.
Actually, I do have one regret. I would have shot Honda twice.
Ooh, darkest timeline.
Darkest Darkest timeline. Oh, interesting. Karuka, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your handle. It says that in their game, the Overseer allows for players to move 1 point from one skill into another each level up. Interesting mechanic, almost like a little
like
reset. I think everyone has taken advantage of this homebrew rule. Interesting, something to think about going to season 2, future Overseer. Some rescale, interesting. But let's change gears a little bit. Thank you all so much for all these questions. Amazing. I like when we came up with this idea, like me and Justin, I was like, is this gonna work? Is anybody even gonna care about this? Or are we just gonna be sitting here talking to our fucking selves for 2 hours? And you all came through like gangbusters. So thank you everyone for the questions. There's one more I will mention quickly, and it's from Devin Shipwreck as Overseer. Who would I say the MVP of Fistful of Neutrons are? And I think it hands down, no question, has to be Enola May. I don't know. I actually don't know. Everybody was really great. I really love these characters. I'm going to be sad letting go. But if you love something, you let it go and see where it goes. As far as the players, everybody had different moments for sure. Definitely, going to miss Yuri from in being sort of a bit of the heart and soul of the group, and Mr. Microwave isn't gonna step in and replace it, but I'm interested to see how the group dynamic changes a little bit from that.
I'm not your new dad.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to replace your dad
because you're leaving, and you're also going to be my DM in a few months. Then I'll say it was you. But thanks again to iScore Arthur Diaz, Halo Nerd 4, Hondat, Levi Roper, George Keith, everybody who threw questions in. I'm sorry if we missed yours, but thank you all so much. Just amazing. We're going to go now to the gang here, see if there's any questions that any of you have for each other, for me, or anything else of the like. Let's, I like the way this is going. Just keep it going down the line. We'll go, Rush. Anything you want to ask of your fellow characters, playmates, or myself, or the crowd? Here, this is your chance.
I would like a question for the rifleman. And maybe I've completely missed the mark here, but I personally interpret from your character a little bit of Clint Eastwood, good, the bad, the ugly, Dirty Harry type. So like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much influence is there between, or parallel, I guess, between the types of characters that Clint Eastwood played and the rifleman?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've been sort of a closet Clint Eastwood fan most of my life.
Nailed it.
Because he's got this sort of like unflappable badass, but like not in an over the top way. Like I'm over 40, and so the heroes in the movies when I was a kid were like the big steroided out machine gun, Rambos and whoever's.
Yeah.
But like Clint Eastwood was never that guy. He just like didn't put up with shit, and he had a gun, and I always liked that sort of thing. So like I'd say probably my favorite Clint Eastwood thing, and I forget the name of the movie, but it's he's like older, and he ends up confronting these thugs in like the projects or somewhere, like in order to manage I'm not spoiling it because I don't know what the name of the movie is off the top of my head, but he kind of sets it up where he's like gonna confront these dudes, and he puts his hand in his pocket, and everyone's all tense, right? And they all got their guns on him.
Oh, are you talking about Gran Torino?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Gran Torino.
So I won't finish it then, because now I'm spoiling it. But like, it's sort of like that guy. It's like he feels like he's already spent a lot of years on the road, and if he's got any time left, he's going to try to do some good, even if that means he goes down with it. And so that's a funny thing you ask Raj about it, because there's definitely some Clint Eastwood I'm trying to channel through Rifleman here for sure.
Well, it comes through, my friend. Well executed.
Thanks.
Very, very fucking astute of you, Raj. Well done. That's very good. Yes, very good. Justin, how about yourself? Anything you want to address to the peanut gallery?
Yeah, I'll go around this open question for everybody, including the Overseer. For the Overseer, in like 1 or 2 words, what would you think the theme of this season was? And for the players, what do you think, like in 1 or 2 words, what do you think the theme of your character would be?
Good question, sir. What would the theme of the sort of the season be? I think would be, no, that's not quite the right word, but belonging. If I had to put it in one word, maybe, which is interesting, or maybe like not coming of age, but something to that, like rebirth, maybe. Maybe that's more accurate. Personal growth in a very boring way. But yeah, I mean, I think from where I saw your characters go, and looking back, hindsight being 2020, seeing sort of the one common thread I think that all 3 of the characters have is that they're all at sort of a turning point in their sort of respective arcs when they first meet up, or when we first encounter them in Longmount. You've got Johnny, who's just out of the vault, starting this whole brand new chapter, like could be very emblematic of the entire thing, right? Of the sort of this new beginning. Whereas you've got Yuri, who's been this solitary creature for so long, who's now sort of expanding his circle and bringing in sort of that feeling of family. And then Grant, who's been this very different entity for most of his life, to where we see him, and then where we see him when he starts, even further to where we see him when we sign off. So I think new beginnings is probably where I would put this this campaign, especially because going into season 2, it's almost like you could say that like whatever happens in season 2, season 1 was sort of the prequel. It was like a really long session 1 in my eyes, to see these characters sort of get to a point where now we have our own, we're within a world and within a fiction that exists, but we've got kind of our own piece of it now, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, why don't we pop on over to Raj? Raj, what do you think the theme of Johnny Bottlecap was for your season here?
2 words: do good. That's his whole thing. Like whatever,
it's right there on the tin.
Yeah, whatever the perceived good is. If someone's getting kicked, he's gonna kick back. Like he's just very. It's easy to tell which direction his compass is pointing.
Yeah. Yeah, that all tracks. Like that, like Johnny Bottlecap, love him. Like, there's more stuff going on, with his backstory and all that. But just having the, just having that, like you know what Johnny Bottlecap's gonna do in most scenarios. You don't know if he's just gonna start shooting folks either. But you know that whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna be that like we're gonna go like chaotic good, which is a really fucking fun character to play off from a DM standpoint, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
I guess the last one, themes and
sort of parting words for season 1. I think a lot has already been said. I'm so relieved that we managed to get so close to calamity. I want to say at least 6 times that I can remember, where it's like someone's going to go down, and we didn't have a lot of medical supplies with us. Like Yuri's a healer, but we only ever had like half a stim pack at any given point. Yeah. So the fact that we managed to make it through, a Mirelurk Queen, a Yao Guai, a Raider attack with Brahmin mounts, wild dogs, angry highwaymen, etc.
List goes on.
And we're all sort of still together and the better for it. I'd say Grant's favorite thing was seeing the sort of trust and interaction grow between the group. I mean, to echo Ryan's comments, the fact that we had this sort of like character development thing that was going on was really heartwarming as a player. Also to see the characters go through that. And I love sending people to Longmount. I'm going to continue doing that. Just as a heads up, every NPC that anyone even remotely likes, I'm going to say, hey, listen, have you
heard about this town?
Do you want a place to rest your hat? there's a little town called Longmount. Have you heard about it? You know, not to be a a roving preacher, but maybe with Yuri gone, some of the missing preacher in my life might come bubbling out of Grant a little bit. So we'll see.
Very cool. Very cool. I guess that leaves it off with Grant. If you've got a question at all as well.
A question. You know, I'm not sure that Rifleman has any questions. I'm not sure Rifleman would say things happen for a reason. He would probably just say they happened. Mistakes happen, beautiful things happen, but they did happen, and the only thing you can do is keep moving forward down the road. So into season 2, I'm very excited. I think Rifleman is very much looking forward to the future. Has some reasons to be optimistic. You know, for the first time in a long time. So I would say there's I in real life, I worked with a guy once who said hindsight is 50-50, which I think was a verbal typo.
Yeah.
But I've been ruminating on that for years, and I think it's kind of true. Hindsight's not 20/20 because often we have as many questions about the past and we can't answer them because we were there, but we only perceive certain things. So one side of the story, you know, maybe there was a wall in the way. We couldn't really see everything that was happening. But so to some extent, Grant is trying to not live in the past and trying to just move forward. So let's say Grant doesn't have any big questions.
Yeah, very good. Well, you know, you parlay very well into a little bit of discussion on season 2. So in what may be one of my final acts as overseer, why don't we throw it over to Justin to give us a little spoiler-free, because this guy just wants to tell me everything he's got in his head all goddamn day.
I have so many ideas.
He's got ideas. Why don't you tell us a little bit about tell the viewers about what they can expect, and some of the, whether it's themes, motifs, ideas, without peeling back the onion too much, for season 2.
Yeah, season 2 is going to be, I'm very excited for it. It's going to be very interesting. I have sort of my factions squared away. I have a ton of NPCs drafted up for it. I think we're going to move the crew into some unfamiliar, unknown territory. And sort of to harken back to sort of that power curve question, because when that was asked, it kind of got me thinking about like power creep and like how do you get around that?
Yep.
In season 2, there's going to be a lot of problems that aren't going to be able to be solved at the end of a gun. I think that there's going to be a lot more interpersonal skills. Not that this season didn't have that, because it sure did, but I think there's going to be a lot of ways to come around the problems and the major themes that I'm going to set up for y'all in season 2. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be well, I can't say what it's going to be, but I plan on it to be very much a sandbox. I think we're going to get together and do a world building sort of offline session that may or may not be recorded, and just get like, I'm going to basically unfold the world to you that I've created. And then I think the season is just going to be like, kind of go, here are some things that you can do. Here's the factions that are here. Here are some named NPCs. Here are some starter quests, and like, let's see where the story takes us. I'm very excited about the setting. This is something that this story is something that I've literally wanted to do since, God, Ryan, when did we start playing Wasteland Warfare? Like 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, it would be like 2018, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we were at Raj's old house like 6 houses ago. And yeah, I've wanted to tell this exact story. I've had it in my head for a very long time. So I'm just like, I'm really excited. It's going to be, I think like, yeah, it's going to be like Blazing Saddles meets Unforgiven. So it's going to be like there's going to be a lot of lighter, fun, happy elements to it. Lots of fun to be had, but with like a very serious underlying problem that needs to be solved. So I can tell you this, Ryan Gale, it is not set in Canada. I thought about it for a hot minute, but I think I want to keep it. I want to keep it in the States. I think that's a little bit truer to the property of Fallout. It's not that I don't love Fallout that's not set in different areas. It's just it seems like it seems to be truest when it's set somewhere in the United States, and also just as a Canadian, then I can like play off those tropes that we see from the US and stuff. It's a more idealized apocalyptic wasteland than if I set it in my own backyard, right? So
yeah, I mean it's true too. I mean, yeah, and we have for this season, we originally thought, being in Canada was going to be, something in and around, Canada too. And that was the original thought, was to do it in Alberta, but it sort of just felt in the meta a little bit more. And I mean, the whole Fallout series is a fucking pastiche of like the American dream, anyway. Right. So if I'm using pastiche correctly, because I don't think it's an homage, that's for fucking sure. But at any rate, I'm really excited for season 2. I'm excited for Mr. Microwave to get into the mix. I'm very, very keen to take this NPC and give him some meat on those bones. I've got some ideas for how that character goes. X-Scorpio, you're right. According to lore, Canada is USA in Fallout canon, but like, you know what I mean? It is, but
here's a quest. Go to Moose Jaw to get the fusion core.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
Moose Jaw.
Nobody wants to go
down that rhymes with fun. We're going to Regina, boys.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. It'll be set in the Midwest. Again, in that sort of quasi lore, like lore adjacent sort of setting. And I'm going to bring in a lot of new stuff. There's going to be a couple new factions, new peoples. Like, I'm really excited about where we're going to go with this. So,
as am I. It's going to be a lot of fun. Keeping on that sort of, I mean, Fistful of Neutrons, the Clint Eastwood, the like, that sort of Western sort of vibe is definitely, it sounds like it's going to be, running a running theme at least into this next season. Where we go from here, if this keeps going, who knows? Maybe we'll make it up to the Great White North eventually, or maybe we'll end up in a completely different wasteland. Who's to say? But I think that's a pretty good place to end it off here today. It's 9:00. We're about to be. So yeah, perfect timing to hit it right on the nose. And we are very excited to get into this next sort of chapter of this story. Still no hard date on exactly when we're going to be coming back, but it's going to be at the earliest sort of mid to late August. Maybe September will make me a natural jumping off point. It's going to be post Gen Con for sure. So we're gonna get that a whole thing put to bed, and then we'll be back with season 2 sooner than later. So make sure you're following up on all the Instagrams, the Discords, and all that fun stuff. Go ahead and join us so you know when to see it. Notification bell on the YouTube's always great. If you hit those like buttons too, that always helps our algorithm, which is great. So I think with that, yeah, tell your mom, tell your dad, all your things. And yeah, we're gonna keep going with this awesome project. And it's, again, thanks to all of you fine folks for getting involved with this. We've just said, we'll just try it, and if anyone does it, if anyone watches it, great. And to see, I think we had 20 people watching at the peak of today, as far as the counter I could tell. I think our first episode had like 3 or 4 people watching. So, to see you diehards sticking through, and new folks and new fans coming in, you can now check out all these great things, and you can get caught up on the whole season before we jump into season 2. So thank you all so much. We've got more Fallout Wasteland Warfare stuff coming. First battle report featuring Justin on the channel is going to be coming out next week, so stay tuned for that. My band of raiders takes on his settlers, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And we've got all kinds of other fun stuff coming up. 2 new review for Into the Vault and Into the Wasteland is going to be coming out. The new Skyrim Sundays series is coming up soon. Holy farkin' shirt balls. It's all happening. So that's as good a place as any. Thank you all so much. Thank you, the players.
Everybody. I love you so much.
This has been great. Stay tuned for
Thank
when
you.
we'll be back. Let's say soft date mid-August, but we'll be back sooner than later. So keep our eyes peeled and keep that channel locked, because we will be back sooner than later. Cheers again, everybody. Thank you so much for season 1, and we'll be back in season 2. So hold on to your butts until we meet again. Adios, muchachos.